Liberty and Levin. This is a very serious program tonight, as they all are, but this is especially important. The Department of Justice has become the rogue operation of the federal government under Joe Biden and his Attorney General Merrick Garland. It is controlled by the Democrat Party and the radical left. And I have to tell you, as somebody who served there for many years, first as Associate Deputy Attorney General, then as a Deputy Assistant Attorney General, then as Special Assistant to the Attorney General, then finally Chief of Staff to the Attorney General, in my view, the greatest Attorney General, Edwin Meese. This department is destroying America. It's destroying the 2024 election. It's violating every norm, every tradition, everything it inherited to ensure that that department could be trustworthy and could be reliable. But it has criminalized politics. And I want to say this. If we don't break the back of the Department of Justice, and I will explain what I mean in a moment, it will destroy this country. And we won't be able to claw our way back. This is not hyperbole. I'm not trying to be provocative. I don't need to be. Now here, let's start. CNN. Exclusive. Special counsel prosecutors question witnesses about chaotic Oval Office meeting after Trump lost the 2020 election. Multiple sources told CNN. Stick with me. CNN. Former Trump campaign official cooperating with special counsel in 2020 election interference probe. Sources familiar with the matter told CNN. CNN. Exclusive. Rudy Giuliani interviewed in special counsel's 2020 election interference probe. Who says so? Multiple sources familiar with the meeting. New York Times. Prosecutors sought records on Trump's foreign business deals since 2017. Who says? Two people familiar with the matter. New York Times. Investigation of Trump documents case continues after his indictment. Who says? According to people familiar with the matter. Washington Post. Justice Department asking 2020 fraud claims as well as fake electors. Who says? According to people familiar with the matter. Who do these leaks help? Do they help Donald Trump? Do they help a single witness? It's the federal government. It is the Biden Department of Justice. It is the Democrat Party's Department of Justice that's interfering in the election and trying to do many other things. Look, I asked my brothers and sisters over at Landmark Legal Foundation, of which I am chairman, I said, go back about 6 months and pull up all the leaks from the New York Times and Washington Post and CNN involving Donald Trump. Here it is. Look at this. You see this? These are the leaks from grand juries to witnesses to Mar-a-Lago to the nature of the classified documents, leak after leak after leak, and I limited it to CNN, the New York Times, and the Washington Post. Look at this. What are they doing? What are they? Oh, don't jerk around the Department of Justice, the former Attorney General says. Who's jerking who around here? Is this how you run a case? Is this how you have a judiciary in the country that sits there and rubber stamps every damn thing? Look at this. This isn't intended to be a real case. Here's the ABA rules, special responsibilities for a prosecutor, Rule 3.8. And I cut through to the chase. The prosecutor in a criminal case shall, except for statements that are necessary to inform the public of the nature and extent of the prosecutor's action and that serve a legitimate law enforcement purpose, refrain from making extrajudicial comments that have a substantial likelihood of a heightening public condemnation of the accused and exercise reasonable care to prevent investigators, law enforcement personnel, employees, or other persons assisting or associated with a prosecutor in a criminal case from making an extrajudicial statement that the prosecutor would be prohibited from making. Let me ask you a question. The prosecutor hasn't come out and said, this would be Jack Smith. Look, we see there's all these leaks. I'm taking it upon myself to do an investigation. Not a single judge that's been involved in these cases on their own. And they have the power to do it, say, wait a minute, you can't do this to a defendant or a would-be defendant. You can't do this because you violate their Fifth and Sixth Amendment rights. You can't have a jury that's objective And the goal of the leaking is to make sure they don't have a jury that's objective anywhere in the United States of America. Enormous quantity of leaks, an entire pattern, grand jury leaks, leaks about witnesses, or even the nature of classified information by the government, even in its public filings, but even more in its leaking. Prosecution's litigation strategies leaked, secret filings with the district court on attorney-client privilege and the crime fraud exception leaked. Who's receiving subpoenas for what? Leaked. Trump's business dealings leaked. You've got a pattern on this document case. You've got a pattern on the January 6th matter. It is unmistakable. It's unequivocal. All roads go through the Department of Justice. All roads go through Jack Smith's office, the special counsel, who to me ain't so special. Now, the Trump lawyers need to wake the hell up and do something about this. Number one, you've got a constant pattern of leaks benefiting the prosecution and the government. A constant pattern of leaks. Number two, the Department of Justice has its own standards, in addition to the ABA, relating to attorney professional misconduct related to law enforcement investigations. Number three, I just cited to you the ABA, American Bar Association Rule 3.8, a prosecutor's responsibility. Oh, it's not me. That's not the point. You run the operation. Number four, tainting the jury pool with these constant leaks, leaks of confidential information, leaks about contents of classified information, leaks about witnesses, leaks about testimony, leaks about secret government filings. And intentionally, the goal here is to deny Donald Trump and others due process under our Constitution. So a motion needs to be filed on behalf of Donald Trump, and I'm saying this publicly. They need to move the court to order the Office of Professional Responsibility. I know this for a fact. That's the office that is asked to investigate allegations or possibilities even of attorney misconduct or employee misconduct within the Department of Justice. They need to be directed by a court, by the judge in Florida, who's under attack. They're trying to intimidate her, no doubt. But she needs to be as brave as this guy, Judge Dowling, in Louisiana, which we'll get to in the next segment. Be as brave as this man. He sees tyranny, and he tries to stop it, and he speaks up about it. The judge in Florida, she needs to order OPR to conduct an investigation into the special counsel's office to determine if the Department of Justice, particularly the special counsel and his staff, have violated these rules and have undermined the Constitution. And also, they ought to be very specific. Look at texts, emails, information of that sort, phone calls, all of it, to see if Donald Trump's due process rights have been violated under the Fifth Amendment. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process. And the Sixth Amendment, public trial by an impartial jury. Here we have a former president of the United States who's running for a second term and is the leading Republican candidate to run against the sitting president who oversees this Department of Justice and is investigating him, charging him, and leaking against him, not just for purposes of influencing a trial, but for purposes of influencing the election. All of the leaks, all of them, are intended to undermine the basic constitutional rights and interfere with the 2024 election. In fact, the media do polls. Oh, how's this leak going to affect the election? Oh, how's this indictment going to affect the... Oh, and we still have Georgia. No, we still have January 6th. It's all about criminalizing politics. Prosecutorial leaks also damage the judiciary, the courts. Now, these Obama judges in Washington, D.C. don't give a damn. The ends justifies the means. But the judge in Florida should give a damn when a prosecutor's running amok through the judicial system. And there's more than enough justification for this investigation. The Department of Justice does leak investigations all the time. And this is the biggest leak and series of leaks in the history of the United States against a former president who's running for re-election for a second term against the people, I would argue, who are doing the leaking. The motion to the court and the court's